Have you ever wondered why some nations seem to have a tense relationship with Malaysia, despite its culture, economy, and rising global influence? Today, we explore 10 countries that, in 2025, are showing dislike or hostility toward Malaysia, and the reasons behind these strained ties. Malaysia has always stood at the crossroads of Southeast Asia, a melting pot of cultures, religions, and trade. Known for its rapid growth, rich traditions, and unique geopolitical position, Malaysia is often celebrated as a model of diversity. Yet, like every rising nation, Malaysia's journey in 2025 is not without friction. While admired by many, there are also countries where political tensions, economic disputes, cultural misunderstandings, and historical grudges have fueled negative perceptions of Malaysia. This dislike does not always mean open conflict. In many cases, it manifests through diplomatic spats, travel warnings, trade disagreements, or even online criticism. Some countries see Malaysia as too competitive in business. Others hold on to historical rivalries that never fully healed. And still, others take issue with Malaysia's stance on global politics, especially when Kuala Lumpur chooses sides in disputes involving powerful nations. In this video, we will uncover 10 countries that, in 2025, show clear signs of disliking Malaysia. From neighbors in Southeast Asia to far-off nations shaped by global alliances, each case is unique, but all highlight how Malaysia's rising influence makes it impossible to ignore. So, let's dive into the nations that Malaysia has rubbed the wrong way, and the surprising reasons behind their growing disapproval. Number 10. Israel. Israel and Malaysia have no formal diplomatic relations, and dislike here is direct and clear. Malaysia has always been one of the strongest critics of Israel, especially regarding Palestine. Its refusal to recognize Israel, ban on Israeli passports, and consistent condemnation of Israeli policies mean relations remain frozen. From Israel's perspective, Malaysia is not just unfriendly but openly hostile. This dislike is deep-rooted, unlikely to change, and continues to shape how Israel views Malaysia on the global stage. Number 9. United States. The United States dislikes Malaysia at times because Kuala Lumpur often refuses to fully align with Washington's strategies. Malaysia's refusal to take sides in global conflicts, its criticism of American policies in the Middle East, and its cooperation with China when convenient all frustrate U.S. policymakers. Additionally, Malaysia's vocal stance on defending Muslim nations sometimes clashes with American allies. Human rights disagreements, particularly over issues of freedom of speech and religion, further create gaps. In 2025, America views Malaysia as unpredictable, sometimes a partner, sometimes a critic. Number 8. Australia. Australia's dislike of Malaysia is rooted in cultural differences and immigration disputes. Malaysia has often criticized Western policies, and this sometimes clashes with Australia's worldview. The treatment of Australian travelers in Malaysia, combined with disagreements over education and student visas, sparks public frustration. Additionally, Malaysia's firm stance on issues like Palestine, where Australia often aligns with Western allies, creates foreign policy friction. While both countries trade and cooperate in education, their contrasting values, Malaysia's conservative policies versus Australia's liberal outlook, continue to fuel quiet dislike. Number 7. Saudi Arabia. Although both countries are Muslim-majority, tensions exist. Malaysia has tried to carve out an independent identity in the Islamic world, sometimes opposing Saudi Arabia's leadership. Dislike arises when Malaysia strengthens ties with rivals such as Turkey, Qatar, or Iran. Saudi Arabia sees this as disloyalty, especially when Malaysia questions Riyadh's role in regional conflicts or religious leadership. In addition, competition over Islamic banking and halal certification markets deepens the sense of rivalry. What could have been a natural alliance instead becomes a contest for influence in the Muslim world. Number 6. Myanmar. Myanmar dislikes Malaysia for openly criticizing its policies, especially regarding the Rohingya crisis. Malaysia has taken a vocal stance against Myanmar's military leadership, condemning its human rights abuses and offering refuge to displaced Rohingya people. For Myanmar's rulers, Malaysia's position is an insult to their sovereignty. They see Kuala Lumpur as meddling in their affairs and using the Rohingya issue to build international credibility. This has created an atmosphere where Myanmar views Malaysia less as a fellow ASEAN member and more as a vocal critic undermining its government. Number 5. India. India's dislike of Malaysia stems from repeated political clashes and criticisms exchanged at the highest levels. Malaysia has often criticized India's policies in Kashmir and its treatment of Muslims, which India interprets as interference in its internal affairs. Economic tensions also fuel dislike. Malaysia's palm oil exports have at times been restricted by India, while Kuala Lumpur's tilt toward Pakistan in regional disputes has made India wary. Culturally, Indian leaders feel Malaysia sometimes exploits its large Indian origin community for political gain, while not fully addressing their concerns. This perception of selective support adds to the frustration. In 2025, these accumulated disputes make India see Malaysia as a difficult partner, one that often puts religious solidarity above pragmatic diplomacy. Number 4. China. Malaysia's relationship with China in 2025 is complex. While China is Malaysia's largest trading partner, dislike grows from political and territorial tensions. Malaysia has consistently pushed back against China's expansive claims in the South China Sea, an issue that strikes at the heart of sovereignty. China also dislikes Malaysia's increasing cooperation with the United States and other Western allies, viewing it as a betrayal of regional unity under Beijing's influence. Additionally, when Malaysia restricts Chinese investments in sensitive sectors, it signals distrust toward China's intentions. On the social side, Malaysia's strong protection of its Muslim-majority identity sometimes clashes with China's controversial policies toward Muslim minorities. This creates not only political but also cultural and humanitarian friction. For China, Malaysia is a partner it cannot fully trust, a small but bold nation unafraid to challenge its dominance. Number 3. Philippines. The Philippines' dislike of Malaysia in 2025 is heavily tied to the unresolved Sabah dispute. Manila has long claimed sovereignty over Sabah, which is part of Malaysia's territory. This territorial disagreement has created decades of mistrust. Beyond land claims, Filipinos are often angered by Malaysia's handling of Filipino migrants and refugees, particularly those from Mindanao. Reports of harsh treatment or deportations reinforce the perception that Malaysia is unfriendly toward Filipinos. Diplomatically, Malaysia has at times acted as a mediator in peace talks for Mindanao, but this role is seen as self-serving by some Filipinos who believe Malaysia only intervenes to protect its interests. Add to this the occasional tension over fishing rights in the Sulu Sea, and you have a mix of political, social, and economic irritants that keep dislike alive. Number 2. Indonesia. Indonesia and Malaysia share deep cultural roots, but that closeness is often the source of friction. Many Indonesians dislike Malaysia because of frequent disputes over migrant workers, cultural appropriation claims, and border disagreements. In 2025, these issues remain unresolved. Indonesians often accuse Malaysia of mistreating their workers, who make up a significant part of Malaysia's labor force. Every case of abuse or exploitation sparks outrage in Indonesia and fuels nationalist anger. At the same time, Malaysians sometimes claim cultural ownership of food, dances, or traditional attire that Indonesians feel strongly about. Politically, both countries compete for leadership within ASEAN. Indonesia, being larger, sees itself as the natural leader, while Malaysia's ambition to be a regional power sometimes creates tension. This competition turns admiration into rivalry, and rivalry into dislike. While trade and travel continue, the emotional gap between the people of both countries feeds into an ongoing sense of resentment. Number 1. Singapore. Despite being close neighbors, Malaysia and Singapore often share a complicated, love-hate relationship. The dislike from Singapore in 2025 stems largely from unresolved disputes over water agreements, territorial claims, and cross-border politics. While both countries benefit from trade and people-to-people ties, Singapore often views Malaysia as unpredictable in its policies, particularly when Kuala Lumpur uses nationalism to score political points. In Singapore's eyes, Malaysia's domestic issues sometimes spill over and affect bilateral cooperation. Delays in joint projects like transportation links, frequent political changes, and strong rhetoric about sovereignty can frustrate Singaporean leaders. On the cultural side, Singaporeans occasionally feel that Malaysia undermines their success by comparing achievements. This quiet rivalry breeds resentment, with Singapore seeing Malaysia as a partner that is also a competitor. Furthermore, Malaysia's close alignment with certain Muslim nations occasionally clashes with Singapore's balanced, multi-ethnic approach to global diplomacy. While open hostility is unlikely, dislike simmers beneath the surface, making Singapore wary of Malaysia's every move. Malaysia's story in 2025 is one of pride, resilience, and rising influence, but also of friction. The 10 countries we explored highlight how Malaysia's decisions, identity, and regional ambitions shape how it is seen by the world. Dislike often comes not from weakness, but from strength. When a country dares to assert itself, it will always attract critics. For Malaysia, these critics are both a challenge and an opportunity. They test its ability to maintain diplomacy, protect its sovereignty, and balance its global relationships. Some dislikes may soften with time, others may harden into rivalries. Yet through it all, Malaysia continues to stand tall, a small but significant player shaping Southeast Asia and beyond. So, what do you think? Are these dislikes justified, or are they the result of misunderstanding Malaysia's true intentions? If you found this video insightful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into global affairs.